Alright, so I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of my garden. I'm going to show you what I have growing. I'm going to be posting some videos after this because I got a few things I want to talk about with you guys. And basically share with you guys. I haven't been online because I've been traveling to New York and just been occupied with other things that I'm going to be sharing with you guys as well. But let's start off with what I have here. And I'm on my steps, by the way. But if you see, I've got this beautiful mammoth sunflower here that's standing. I would basically approximate maybe... what, 17 feet tall? Yeah, 17 feet tall, maybe. That head, I can't, you see how it's, the head's starting to form. I can't wait till it forms. I want to see what size diameter that head is going to be. But it's interesting. Now over here, before I even go anywhere else, I want to show you this. This is another mammoth sunflower, which I planted after this one. Okay, and this mammoth sunflower, see, the reason I plant mammoth sunflowers is for aesthetic purposes, for the pollinators and the benefits that it gives to the soil. But this one is doing something else, and this one's actually serving as a trellis support system for my melons. So the fact that it can do that, I mean, just imagine how productive that's going to be for the garden. I mean, look at this. This is basically climbing its way up this sunflower. And the sunflower obviously gets much taller. So this is an experiment. I want to see if it can actually support the weight of these melons. And if it does, I'm going to be continuing to do this every year, because look at the amount of melons that are growing on this. Again, this is an experimentation. So, you know, whatever happens with it, happens. If not, then, you know, obviously I can always build a trellis and just keep the vines elevated to some extent, or actually put a stake on the floor, a long wooden stake, to tie them up to make sure that it doesn't break and end up on the floor, especially during a big storm. But anyway, now here, obviously this is my walkway, okay? This is gonna have these melons basically trailing all along these things. These things they use when they lay down cement. I forgot the name of these things, but they serve as a very good trellis for melons or any type of plants that you're actually trying to grow. As you can see, this is going to have a lot of melons hanging on them. You can see some of the melons already forming. I've got only one hanging down real low, which basically ended up growing at the base, and that's why I got this cardboard there, because I don't want worms to get in them. But I mean, there's a few melons already growing on this. You can see that this is starting to form melons everywhere. So I mean, look at this. There's another melon here, another melon there. So this is going to be hanging with a lot of melons, and I'm going to actually use some ties to support them just in case they end up hanging too low. But that's going to be interesting to see. And then underneath, from the same growing point, all these right here are watermelons that are growing, and this is growing very vigorously. All my watermelon vines are growing extremely vigorously. They're even forming watermelons already, as you can see. I mean, look at that. It's just trailing everywhere. It looks great. Look how nice and abundant this looks. So I'm just waiting for melons to start forming. Look at that. See that? So I mean, it's not even summer yet. So again, I'm waiting for a field, a boatload of watermelons. That's what I'm waiting for this year. All right, and over here I've got another mammoth sunflower growing, and I've got another couple of melon vines that are going to be trellising up that. And then on this side I've got some more of these trellis supports, which you can already see some melons forming on that. See that? This is going to be nice because, I mean, just look at it. If I'm walking into my home, it's going to be a beautiful sight to see when you see melons just hanging along those trellis supports, you know. So it's going to look really, really nice. And then on top of that, even at my walkway, this right here is my bronze leaf hibiscus, and these already have these buds. As you can see, they haven't bloomed yet, you see. But on each one of those heads, it's all full of buds. I'm just waiting for them to bloom. But this gets all full of like these big hibiscus flower, and they're really, really big, which I'll put on video when I make another video next time, as soon as they bloom. But it's a really nice sight to see. I actually make a lot of teas with that too. But as you're walking in, you can see that. And then you also see my apple tree, my espalier apple tree that I also started from seed. This is the braided apple tree that I've been putting on video for quite some time already. And then concealed back there, you can see my cannabis tree there, and it's looking phenomenal because this is by far one of the most nutritious soil you'll ever find in the planet. And then back there I've got all my blackberries. I mean, look at the amount of blackberries on that. The blackberries, I mean, I get a lot of blackberries every year. That's back there, but I've got blackberries all over my garden. I mean, like I said, this is my seating area here, and I'm basically surrounded with blackberries right here. These are ornamental to potatoes. I have this because this basically fills this whole entire spot up, and that's just basically for the health of the soil. But here, as you can see, my seating area, I'm still surrounded by blackberries. I've got more canes growing here, which should fill this whole area up, but that'll be for next year because I only had one side last year, and that's why that's so abundant. For next year, this is going to be very, very heavily bushy. It's going to be very bushy, and I'm going to be covered in there, which I like. It gives me like a little privacy, especially if I want to meditate like Darth Vader. Here's another watermelon vine I planted afterwards. Here, these are my later ones I planted, also more watermelons. My banana tree, and then of course I'm gonna have to go around because I'm basically closed off over here, but you can get a closer look at these melons forming on there. Beautiful sight to see. All right, so let me go around and show you what I got back here first before I go to the front. This right here is my avocado tree, and I've got 7 of these. Look how beautiful and vigorous this avocado tree is, and this is in a container. You see that? It's in a container. I started this from seed as well. I put this on video yesterday. These are my strawberries, which I'm extremely proud of. I did a big harvest of strawberries already. I've got my rosemary. My papaya trees are doing very, very good. Here I've got my grapevine that I actually put on camera yesterday as well. That's looking really, really nicely. These right here are more melons, and I've got these on stakes. And then what's going to happen is that as they come over, I'm going to have them just kind of catch onto those trellis supports that I have here that I told you I forgot the name of. But these are doing very nice also. I've got a lot of melons growing this year, a lot of watermelons as well. You can already see the melons forming on these. I just can't wait for them to be big so I can make another video and show them to you. I've got more watermelons in there. They're basically going to be trellising along that backside. Here's my other cannabis tree right here. Look how nice that looks, man. I mean, it's just the health of this of these plants are basically just it's due to the soil. The soil is just so beautiful, and on top of that, the key ingredient, of course, that somebody basically wrote in my comment is love, and that's absolutely true. You know, love is the absolute best fertilizer here. Here I've got another apple tree that I started from seed. I actually put this one on camera not too long ago, and it was like this small. It was like literally just a seed sprout, and look how it's gotten already. And I've got these melons growing on the side along the edges of the pot, and they are also starting to form melons. You see that right there? But they've got melons everywhere. That's just not the only spot. There's a lot more. It's just that I'm not going to go looking in between the vines because that would take too long. But they're going to be basically hovering all over these trellises, and that's going to be a real nice sight to see. This is a grapefruit that I started from seed. Another avocado tree. These right here are actually oranges that I just basically started this year. So look how nice that's looking. I'm going to have future orange trees with that. Another avocado. This one's actually another lemon tree I started from seed. Another avocado. And then this one is my bed of raspberries. Look how nice this looks. These are pale, obviously they're not ready yet, but I've got a lot of new canes, which next year is when I'm really gonna have a load of these full for me, because this one's actually last year's cane, and that's why these are producing and these aren't. This is an apple tree I started from seed, and I've got that also in an espalier design. However, I haven't pruned it, but you can actually see those trunks down there, how they're horizontal. So you see that's level 1 down there, that's level 2, and then the tree was up to here. You know what I'm saying? It was just up to there, and then it's not, again, this is just this whatever, since it started growing again, that's all like a month and a half or 2. That's how much it's grown. So what I'm gonna do is do a pruning job and then make that third level. And this is meant to look like a wall. Okay, let me show you real quick. See, if you look over here, it's supposed to be flat. You know what I'm saying? But of course it grew really bushy already. But the canes that are trailing along the sides, the first 2 levels, as you can see that? They're nice and straight. All I have to do now is just, again, give it a haircut and then make it look like a wall and get that third level going. But I'm gonna have to do a real heavy pruning because this grew real vigorously. Look how tall that got. This is a year-old tree. It's insane. So, and it looks awesome. I love that. Look at the blackberries that are forming on this. Look at that. Look at these blackberries. These are big blackberries. Look at that. And they're juicy. I'm gonna pick them, but as you can see, it's gonna rain. So I want it to rain. And when it rains, after it stops, I'm gonna pick all these blackberries. Why do I do that? Because after the rain, first of all, it's washing my plants. And 2, it's just electrical properties. I mean, I have my own reasons for it. Look how thick these canes are. Even if I didn't have these supported, I think they'd stand up on their own like trees. Look how thick these are. And again, the only reason, if they're that thick, that's how you know you're gonna get some big fruit. That's how you know you're getting big fruit. That's why these blackberries look like this. They look so juicy and big. They look beautiful. All right, so let's go over here now. These right here are my pumpkins, and they're looking beautiful. Beautiful, and they're forming pumpkins already too. Look at that. You see that? Now here, I think I put this on camera yesterday. These are my muscadines I germinated. And then here, this bed full of, that's all watermelons. All of that is watermelons, and those are melons. And then these are more melons over here, which I'm gonna be putting a trellis over here because I want these to be elevated. And then on the bottom, I want the watermelons to just take over the floor and then the melons to be elevated. You'll see what I'm gonna do with that. I've got more blackberries growing along back there. You're gonna see how many of these are producing as well. Look at all the amount of blackberries on there. They're still red, so you can see that's why I haven't really went so aggressive at picking them, because they're blackberries, not red berries. Look, I've got more blackberries here, as you can see. I've got more blackberries over here. Now, why do I grow so many blackberries? Because that's what I love. I love blackberries. I love to eat blackberries. This is mint, and I have to usually give that a haircut, and I use a lot of mint too. It's just that I can't keep up with it because it grows so fast. More blackberries here. This is an apple tree I started from seed, and I'm training that a certain way to look like a whirlpool of some sort. But right now it doesn't look like it because I got to give it a haircut and show this the shape of it. But again, that's why I said I got to make that in its own video. Here's my pear tree, and then here is more of my blackberries. Look how many blackberries are growing on that. See that? So we'll go around this way now so I can show you what I have toward the back, and then we'll end up in the front of the property. This is my maple tree. I actually started that as a baby as well. It feels good when you can start a tree and then see it, how big it gets. Here's my grapes. This is what the first year that it's actually starting to produce for me like this. So next year I'm expecting even more out of these, and I've actually been able to propagate another 7 plants out of this. So along with the muscat, because these aren't muscadines, these are like those Mars black globe grapes, but you can see the amount of grapes growing on this now. I started another 7 plants, and I got them from cuttings out of these that I was successfully able to get root out of. So along with the muscadines, I want to have a land full of grapes and land full of fruit trees, and be able to grow melons, and I'll be able to compost and all that good stuff. So this is toward the front right here. As you can see, that's where the face of the garden is. I've got a nice blueberry bush over here. I've got about 8 or 9 blueberry plants, but you can see these are producing my blueberries rather nicely. Look at that. So I mean, it's all over this plant, which now they're starting to flower. Because I've got different variety of blueberries. Some are late bloomers, some are early, but you know, some are just different kinds, because you want them to cross pollinate. So the more variety of blueberries you have, the better your production. So because I got blueberry right there, I've got another 2 right there, another one up there, and then another 2 in that bed that I had the blackberries in, which I forgot to show you. But here I've got pumpkins looking good. It's starting to grow out. Here I've got melons. As you can see, it's got melons forming there. So it's going to only get to a certain height, and then what I'm going to do is get some more of those metal trellises so that it could start hovering over, you know. These right here are sunflowers. This, I meant to grow melon here. I don't know what the hell's growing here. I don't even know how what came out of there. I'm just letting it grow because I don't know what it is. These are watermelons here, here toward the front, and then here I've got another pot with melons, and you can see the formation of a nice melon growing there. I've got another apple tree I started from seed over here. This is not even a year old. These are just weeds. This is for the fairies, by the way, so I'll just show you. See that, the fairies, I got the unicorn. But this is what this is for. This is for the fairies. Now here's the muscadine plant. This is the mother of all the plants I've been able to germinate from, you know, from seed. Because you could see, I mean, you'll see them now, but there's a lot of grapes growing in there, you know, a lot of grapes. And I've had to give this a haircut because these vines were just touching the floor, so I gave it a nice haircut, and you know, it looks more aesthetically pleasing. But this gives me a lot of nice grapes, a lot of good muscadine grapes, and that's why I said I want to have a big field of these. You know, these usually the leaves keep the grapes covered, but there's a lot of grapes in there. There's a lot of grapes. I don't know if I could get them on camera. Yeah, there's a lot of grapes. A lot of grapes. This is a maple tree. I've got some more melons growing along the side of those. I've got another little strawberry patch here underneath this maple tree. All these trees I started from seed, by the way. This right here is watermelon. I've got my 2 tomato plants over here with some pumpkins growing along the side of them. This looks really nice. Well, here's the face of the garden. This, we've had some crazy winds and storms, and there's no way that this can ever get knocked over, as you see. That's the protector of the garden. Darth Vader, my boy. Right here I got watermelons. I've got more melons growing along this stake up here. And I'm just so happy with the way everything's coming out. I've got more blackberries here. Here's my grapes, my Mars Globe grapes that I got this one from a cutting as well. That's from the cutting of the one I showed you over there. And this right here is actually in a container. And you can see that this is producing a good amount of grapes for me as well, for it being in a container. You know, I'm very happy to see that it can actually be done in a container. Now the reason I have these pallets down there like this is, for one, I want these pumpkins to grow on along the side of these things because it looks beautiful. But that is that I also want to make sure that if these roots get too big, I don't want them to anchor themselves into the soil too much, where then if I try to move the pot, it's impossible. So I have to try to see what happens before that ever happens. Okay, I've got more blackberries here, as you see. All these blackberries forming. There's a lot of blackberries here. I just have to make sure that they turn black. Look at this. Look what I just found here. Look at that. Bang! That beautiful. Look at how beautiful that looks. So proud of you. Here's my mango tree that I started from seed. I had this on camera not too long ago, and look how beautiful it looks already. You can see how nice and green these leaves are. They just look like they're loved, and they're giving love back in return. See how beautiful that looks? Look at this. This is another melon. This is a grapefruit. I recently just started this one, and it's growing so quickly. This is a grapefruit. I love citrus trees, so I'm growing a lot of citrus trees. This is a peach tree. Can you believe I started this from seed? So now I'm gonna see what happens. Of course, I know that you never get true fruit, but you know, again, I'm gonna have a world of grafted trees when I have my land, but I'm starting a lot of them from seed as well, because I'm gonna have those as well, just so I can see the differences in production and fruit and whatnot. These 2 tomato plants, I wasn't planning on growing tomatoes, but of course I can't throw tomatoes out, man. I mean, they just came out as volunteers on the soil, so I said, well, I guess I'm growing a couple of tomato plants. But you can see how these are starting to give me tomatoes already, and I've got them parked right next to some cucumbers. Look at that, already giving me cucumbers over here. It's looking phenomenal. Another 2 melon trees, vines over here rather, and you can see the melons already forming on there. It's looking great. So now we're outside the seating area, as you see. And what I got here, in between all the blackberries, are some more melons. And I've got this coming up, this stake over here, and it's giving me a nice production of melons as well. I mean, these melons are gonna look good this year because they're all elevated. See how this one's also in a stake over here? It's a tall stake too. But it's also giving me a good amount of melons, as you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4 just in that view. You see that? So you see how my seating area is in there. I got melons here, melon on that side, melon on this post right here, and then melon on another post. In between, I've got all blackberries. So you see how I don't have, this is not huge space, but I've made use of productivity with my space, you know? I've got another tomato plant. These basically are cherry tomatoes. Not cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes. And this one was also a volunteer, so this also came from seed. And then around that, I've got more watermelons. See that? Here is a dragon fruit that I germinated from a store bought. I paid $9 for that fruit, man, and I was like, oh man, I'm growing this. So look at that. And then here I've got my lemon Meyer tree that I started from seed as well, and a few years back, and it's also giving me some lemons right now, so it looks good too. I've got, there's a goji berry bush, hasn't given me anything yet. This is the back part. I was over here already where I showed you. Now I'm going to show you the back part of this real quick. I've got the bramble blackberry in a container. I've got more bronze leaf hibiscus here with some more bramble blackberries in between. This one right here is another beautiful bush of bramble blackberries. So these right here are all thorned, so of course I have to be very careful when I take these out, because these thorns are lethal, man. They're just so sharp and they're just like anchor to you. This is a pecan tree I started from seed, and it looks phenomenal. And then this is where we were just at right now, so you can take a good overview of how everything looks. And I'm absolutely amazed, and I love how everything looks. I got all my compost bins back there, but this is just how everything looks, you know. And it's a fruit garden. It's a fruit garden. I got old wood chips on the ground. My seating area right here. These 4 posts actually light up. Like, I got the little, they're like white Christmas tree type of lights. See that? And at nighttime they light up. Sometimes I'll put the torches here, and I just sit here and I just chill and relax. Here's my red leaf basil. Got some more pumpkins back there. This is kind of like an altar type of plant, but oh, the camera's gonna cut off. So if it does, we'll talk soon.